Everybody, welcome to this episode of Think Business Live. Looking forward to talking to Corbin Yaldoo, CEO, founder, Corbco Ventures, C3 CRE. Corbin, it's great to connect with you. So thanks for being on the show. So I wanna kind of kick off and talk about you as an entrepreneur. So you are the founder and CEO of Corbco Ventures and C3 CRE. What's the one lesson you've learned about business starting your own businesses?
Thank you, John, for having me on here today. I appreciate it, as always.
Yeah, man, of course.
One lesson, many lessons throughout, but something that comes to mind immediately is just patience and moving slow and working smart. You're always going to work hard, but you got to make some mistakes and have some failures and learn from them, and that's always going to make you better.
Yeah, I always look at failures as lessons, and or just kind of expensive seminars. Like I can look at something in my past that cost me, a lot of money and where you learn in hindsight. Well, that's the seminar to learn how to say no cost me, $25,000. So whatever it is, it helps me kind of like put it in a space where it's like, okay, that was a lesson learned. But I want to talk about patience. There was an article, as you're speaking, there was an article in the Atlantic. I think it was in the Atlantic in 2008, and it was called "Is Google Making Us Stupid?" And it talked about how technology is moving people away from delayed gratification to instant gratification. And as we look at social media, we can point to a lot of things that give us the dopamine rushes, and we can buy something and go puff it, Instacart it, Amazon Prime it, and it's at our door and sometimes within the hour. So with the lesson being patience, how do you build the patient muscle?
Just I think having the right mindset of from the very beginning of getting into commercial real estate. I was 21 years old. It was 2011. Economy was not the greatest at the time, and had a great mentor and my father and former boss Chris Jonah, and they taught me to focus on relationships and education of understanding commercial real estate, than focusing on making money, and that mindset has continue to follow me in all aspects of my career, from learning different industry sectors to understanding how to own and manage my own real estate, to now running my companies. I think, your younger generation, like you said, expects things to happen overnight. But I think within any career, whether you're a doctor going to med school and residency or doing commercial real estate, it takes several years to really start making true money, and building a successful career. So it's been the same process. So, all throughout, even, when you do a typical broker transaction, it's not like selling a house. You're not selling it and listing it within 30, 60 days. Many transactions on average are taking 4 to 6 months, and a development deal could take 12, 18 plus months. And even through the development of my own work, through the approval process and entitlement, getting your permits, a lot of times it's 12, 18 months from the day you tie up a contract to the day you break ground or the building's fully completed. So it definitely takes a lot of patience with that.
Yeah, right. When you get into the commercial real estate space, you're moving into an industry that is delayed gratification, right? From cold call to close can be anywhere between 6 to 9 months to 1 to 3 years, or give or take, right? Yeah. So,
Exactly.
but you bring up a really good point. I want to go back to when you were talking about when you were 21. Where is a spot when you got into the industry that you found yourself kind of stuck in an area where in hindsight you would, give somebody advice to get unstuck starting in the business?
I think two things come to light right away is time management of planning out my schedule and if not just working hard but working smart in regards to time management on what am I doing and how am I schedule blocking my days. And that's something you taught me in the middle of my career since you and I became friends and started working together. And uh, figuring out what type of work you're actually doing, because when you're in commercial real estate, you're putting an hourly rate on yourself, even though you're not an
Right.
attorney or CPA charging per an hour. It's I'm going to work X amount of hours. The more hours, generally, the more opportunity leads to more money. But how are you going to? Are you going to work on 1,200 square foot leases, or are you going to go try and sell $2 million properties? And I always have the saying, big or small, it takes the same amount of time. So
Yeah.
why don't you build the pipeline and focus on the bigger deals? So that way you're able to, perform greater in the long term.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes the small deals can actually take more time, but I'm also a believer that you got to have a pipeline of some singles and doubles too. Sometimes I've seen in the business, the people who go only for the whales, you can run into some trouble there.
I agree, and I think the smaller deals craft you to handle the larger deals. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Giving you the experience and the confidence to work with the clients,
Yeah.
and you need those for various different learning experiences. Even after 13 years of being in the business, you're always learning, and you're never going to stop learning. So there's a quote unquote recipe to doing transactions and a lot of similarities, but every deal has its own difference.
Right. But I agree with you. I think one of the recipes is to never stop learning. And so, as you look at, learning, take me back 10, 20 years, who was a mentor that kind of laid a strong foundation for you that, kind of helped push you build your own company and infuse the work ethic that that you come to the table with every day?
Sure. I mean, I'd say going back that far, 10, 20 years, it's, definitely my father, Brian Yaldoo, and my grandfather, Sabah Yaldoo, instilled that in all his kids and grandkids. But I think what took a lot of things to the next level beyond, as I mentioned, a good initial mentor in the space, Chris Jonah at CMP Real Estate Group, was my former bosses and good friends to date, Daniel Stern and Chris Boucher at Lormax Stern Development Company and Mid America Real Estate. That's where I worked with them for 5-6 years prior to going off on my own and seeing what they could do running a brokerage company and owning real estate and being serial entrepreneurs across several different states. Set a good mindset on how to do business with great morals and ethics, and as long as you have good integrity and character, the deals and relationships will always be there.
Yeah, everything falls into place. It's great. It's great to have great mentors along the way that we learn from, and I've had these. I continue to have these in my life, not only from what they teach us or share with us, but how we can observe them and take just take watching them do what they do. Let's do a little mini business course on commercial real estate. If somebody were to go to corbcoventures.com, they get to your homepage and it says new ideas. Welcome to Corbco Ventures, your modern day commercial real estate development, an investment firm, new ideas, diverse opportunities, investments of distinction. All right. So let's talk about that. So let's talk about three things that on how people should be maybe coming to the table thinking about commercial real estate, right? Because you're bringing a lot of concepts to people that I think will get people to maybe think a little bit more on what they maybe think from a mainstream perspective. And so if there's three things that you wanted somebody to get from, when you say new ideas, diverse opportunities, and investments of distinction, what would those be? What's number one?
I think just continuing to be innovative on the mindset and the type of projects that you're pursuing. Many of commercial real estate projects, that are being developed by myself or other developers all around the world are continuing to evolve and learn from what's happening from city to city. Oh, I saw this project get done in New York, and now they're doing it in downtown Detroit. So whether it's a multifamily project that's adding additional amenities like saunas or cold plunges to the gyms or yoga studios that weren't being done 5-10 years ago, or either it's a quick service restaurant that now has 2 drive-thrus instead of 1, or a different prototype of a smaller store to maximize the price per square foot and what a tenant's paying in comparison to a larger footprint. Those types of ideas of using technology and innovating, and the world, I think, in the next 5-10 years will continue to expand even at a more rapid pace with artificial intelligence.
Yeah. It's interesting. When you're talking innovation, saunas and cold plunges and things of that nature, it just makes me think sometimes innovation isn't creating something new, but giving people people what they want right now. And sometimes people get stuck in thinking, very old school, and they're not thinking about those small things. But I would venture to say a cold plunge and an infrared sauna could go a long way today. I mean, it's like, it's so I like that. So I just wanted to highlight, though, that innovation doesn't mean you have to come up with something brand new. Just be innovative in the way that you bring it in and interpret into however you're doing it. So it carries a message within kind of the vibe of whatever you're doing.
Definitely. I agree.
Yeah. What's number 2 and 3? Maybe number 2, like when you talk about AI, how should people be thinking about AI when it comes to commercial real estate today?
So AI, I wouldn't say I'm definitely not an expert in it, and I continue to learn. But for instance, on the brokerage side, the marketing team uses ChatGPT, like many companies today, on figuring out different ways that we could scale our marketing at cheaper costs, using it to help with writing different content for marketing materials, for our marketing packages, for our social media, newsletters, blogs, etc. And then figuring out different ways you could use that technology for the different social media and email blast marketing that we do. And then when it comes to the actual, the physical assets, I think a lot of it, has to kind of do with the back end technology, of a property. Yeah. And what that means, I wouldn't, be able to give you any specific examples offhand.
Well, but what I think what you're saying, which I agree with, is you almost have the ChatGPT, for example. There's other tools, but we're going to talk about ChatGPT. You almost have it as like an executive assistant, an expert over here, and then you can use it a little over here. You can use it over here. It's really kind of, I think of ChatGPT as almost a physical person on my team. I mean, I have 7 virtual people that work on my team, and number 7 is ChatGPT, because I can use it and process it and brainstorm with it and strategize with it when I kind of have an idea that I want to expand, or a word that isn't working for me. So it's a great resource. It's a great resource that people, if they're not using it, they should.
Not to cut you off, I think rolling into that, even before you said the virtual assistants, you and I have been working together since 2018 because I've always had the mindset of how am I going to get better, and thought you would be a great value add, as you've been to my life and my career. You have taught me how to delegate, and delegating through those virtual assistants that you could get 2 or 3 employees for the cost of one in person, in a hybrid model or completely virtual. You see that happening with a lot of companies. So I think delegation is kind of, could be, your answer to number 3.
Yeah, I agree. You get delegation, you get AI and innovation, that and you're strategizing about that on a consistent basis on how, all the nuances of it. It goes a long way. It goes a long way. Let's talk about the commercial real estate space. It's a cyclical business, commercial real estate. I think people, from the outside in, think it's a very easy business. They see people making a lot of money. They see big deals closing. But like we talked earlier, it could take anywhere between 6 months and 6 years to close a deal. Nobody sees all of the 12,000 pieces that go into actually getting anything to a closing table. And so when it comes to, commercial real estate today, and we take some of the things we've talked about, AI and innovation and things of that nature, what does the industry, do you think, look like in 5 or 10 years?
That's a great question. I think that there's going to be a lot of consolidation, and consolidation from top to bottom in regards to people, companies, the businesses that are going to survive. I think that as you see the trends, you're going to have more and more online platforms. I think there's always going to be a desire for retail space. There's going to continue to be the growth for multifamily and smaller units, as the younger generation doesn't necessarily want to own houses or wants to live in urban markets and in big cities. And your Class A retail, Class B retail is always going to be around because people always want to shop and interact.
Yeah.
And go to restaurants and go to entertainment concepts and live their lives. But the big question mark a lot of it is what's going to happen with the next downturn with a lot of hotels and the office space. So I think storage will continue to go on the rise. And these office spaces, I had a young intern the other day ask me, what's going to happen with these office buildings? And that's the big question mark, depending on where the market is, or where the geographic asset is within the market. Is it going to be converted to storage because the floor plates allow for heavy structure, or is it going to be converted to a hotel or a multifamily, or is it going to be completely torn down and redeveloped and scraped for an industrial user?
Yeah. Or will there be a resurgence? It's interesting. I'm a business coach. I have my company. I have a second company called Launch 3, and there's a lot of 20-somethings in the program, and the feedback I get from a lot of them is we want to be in the office. I don't want a hybrid job. I want to be in the office across all industries. Learning the business, and I think I've been starting to hear a lot more of that over the last kind of 6 months. So I'm curious to see what happens with office. There were so many companies that went virtual that are now coming back around and coming. We saw that in January of 24. So we'll see. I think it's a very difficult question to answer. So thank you. I like what you had to say about it, because who knows what the world will look like in 10 years. But I do think we all need to work on our skill set, stay educated, and work on the soft skills and sales skills and influence skills and, things of that nature, and grow ourselves. Personal development, I think, will keep us ahead of areas of AI to prevent us from going out of business.
Yeah, and another thing to point on is, we talked about AI and technology. That's going to be even greater in the space.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of things of, hey, I do brokerage for a living, and, what will the brokerage world be like in 5-10 years from now with technology, with virtual tours and AI, etc.? Is there going to be a consolidation of brokers? I do think that there's going to be a consolidation of brokers in the next downturn because, there's that saying 80% of brokers or 20% of brokers do 80% of the deals.
Right.
So that rest of that 80% of the pool won't be able to survive in a downturn. And you see that in any economic downturn typically. But I think leveraging technology on how can you be better at whatever area you are within commercial real estate.
Right.
And utilizing that, because if you're not digital, you're going to become extinct.
Right. Right. You got to be a master of your craft. You got to commit to business development every day. You got to grind. You got to hustle. Those are never going to go away. All right. Good. All right. Quick speed round. A book, a TED Talk, or an article that's had an impact on you, Corbin?
Very basic level, but when I was, in my early 20s, I think Rich Dad Poor Dad and Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, those are great ones. Yeah,
they taught me, about growth and the right mindset, and understanding how you could own commercial real estate by leveraging investors.
Yeah, I love those. Yeah, those are great books. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
Think big, Jon Dwoskin.
I like that. Finish this sentence. One thing everybody can do to tap into their inner entrepreneur and begin something that's kind of been, manifesting inside them for a while is?
Another book, Atomic Habits. Work on your daily habits and the rest will evolve on its own.
That book, in my opinion, should be mandatory reading along with Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I mean, but Atomic Habits, I think, is by James Clear, is one of the best books ever. It's great. All right, Corbin, tell everybody who your ideal clients are, how they can connect with you, and any information you want to give them about you.
Sure. So for Corbco Ventures, always looking to continue to do new developments, value add projects, buy distressed real estate all across Michigan, Florida, and select U.S. markets. And asset classes that we mainly focus on are traditional retail, industrial, vacant land, multifamily, and specialize in cannabis as well. That's an even more complex industry than commercial real estate. And then on the brokerage side, same 5 classes of real estate of land, multifamily, retail, cannabis, and industrial. Primarily transacting in Michigan, but we've done deals all over the country and working with buyers and sellers, and always looking to service and work with the right people.
Great. And your website is corbcoventures.com.
Corbcoventures.com and C3CRE. I have an additional company that we haven't talked much about today called Rair Capital, raircapital.com. And I have a partner that runs day-to-day, and we do business loans, commercial loans, and cannabis loans as a lender broker throughout the country.
I love it. Well, Corbin, this is great. I love this podcast because I get to talk to people all over the globe. I'm a business coach who works with people who are successful and stuck, and the guests get to come on and are in alignment with me to help people get unstuck, giving advice, on how they have built what they've built and do what they do, intrinsically, and, what makes them tick. So I appreciate everything you shared today. Think community. I always like to extract one thing. There's many things that Corbin shared, but one thing in particular is spend time making sure that you are talking about how you can be innovative. It is so important. The skills, the soft skills, the digital skills, all of that, right? Because you don't want to become obsolete. It's so important. Corbin, thanks so much. Again, I appreciate it. If anybody wants to connect with Corbin, please do. And you can connect with me at jondwoskin.com. Corbin, thanks. This was great. Appreciate it.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.